Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I will call to order the November 16th business meeting of the Saline County Board of Commissioners. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick. Here. Commissioner Spark.
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Absolutely. We please stand for the flag salute and remain standing for the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If everyone can make sure that all microphones, phones, and other electronic devices are muted when you're not speaking so that remote observers can hear the proceedings clearly, I would appreciate it. Now, if Brad, our IT director, could instruct everyone on how to raise their hand in the meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brad.
Constituents that are connected to the Zoom meeting are looking for the raise hand function. The raise hand function on the newer version of the Zoom client is toward the bottom of the screen on the toolbar. On older clients, if you select the Participants tab, that will reveal the raise hand function in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Raising your hand lets the host know you would like to speak in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. At this time, we will move into our citizens input portion of the meeting where anyone from the public can speak on county government, usually limited to 3 minutes and pertaining to items that are not on discussed today's agenda. Are there any members of the public who'd wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of approval of prior minutes as presented on 10/12, 10/26, and 10/27. Approval of tax roll adjustments, and approval of disposition of property, approval of dental benefit summary plan descriptions, approval of Chapman Police Department MOU and talk group authorization, and approval of public forum agenda as presented. Are there any commissioners who wish to add or delete items from the consent agenda? Hearing none at this time, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move we approve.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This time we'll move into action items. Action items number 1.
Election canvas. Yesterday, we had canvas and we had discussed the provisional ballots that were cast in this election, and you, as the canvassers, approved 161 to be counted. You also approved 1 advance ballot to be counted that was received on election day, and then a partial count of a ballot that was voted at the wrong voting location. And so today, I'm just asking for a motion to approve the results, and you have a copy of those in front of you that show the 163 that were counted yesterday. So, and this will also be on our website, and the hand counts will be on our website as well for anyone that wants to see it. So.
Okay, is there any information from the commission that wish to speak? Anyone from the public that wish to speak? Can I have a motion to accept the results as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the results as tabulated.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the tabulation results as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jamie. Item number 2.
RFA 261-21 COVID-19 Immunization Action Plan Grants Supplemental 3 and 4 with Jason Tiller, Health Department Director.
Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, gentlemen. So before you are actually 2 grants, but they have concurrent goals and they are issued as part of the Immunization Action Plan. So Supplement 3 vaccine access for $93,000 and Supplement 4 for vaccine equity for $200,000. And these two grants are aimed at increasing both the vaccine access and equity, but not only for COVID, but for any and all vaccines through June of 2024 was the end date for which we have to expend these funds. We can also use these funds for any expenses after January 13th related to vaccination that we have not yet been able to get any sort of reimbursement for. Current plans at the time of application were to try and hire a couple of temporary staff that would be able to do some night and weekend type work. But at this time, trying to hire, especially nursing staff, is extremely difficult. However, given the long time frame that we have to use these funds, we can always adjust the scope over the next 2.5 years. We can also use these for if there is some sort of other outbreak, for instance, that might require some other vaccine or MMR, excuse me, Hep A, any of those types. So today I'm asking, looking at the alternatives, of course, always to refuse the grants and not sign. Send these back if you requested more information or sign the grants. And I'm asking that you sign the grants and then allow us to improve vaccinations at all age levels, as well as this, I think, will help catch up vaccinations that have either been deferred or have been missed over the last 2 years of the pandemic, especially in many children. And with that, I will stand for questions.
I don't have any at this time. Thank you. Is there any other commissioners that have any questions or comments? Hearing none, is anyone from the public who'd wish to speak in regards to this? Yes, you have to come up here and state your name and address, please.
Rosemary Mize, Fina Canvas. I just want to know if there's any strings attached to these grants on the vaccinations.
Okay.
Strings, what kind of
Like,
strings are you
Do
thinking?
you have to abide by certain things in order to get this grant? Do you have to? Are these vaccinations mandated? Do they?
No. So these are just related to improving vaccination, more so of providing evening and weekend clinics, and also being able to reach areas of the community that may not be able to normally come into a facility to get vaccination.
So
But
nothing will
no-
be forced.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
No, this is all voluntary for anybody that wishes to receive, whether it's COVID or any other vaccine.
Okay. Thank you. Good question. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept by signature the COVID-19 Immunization Action Plan Grant Supplemental 3 and 4 is presented by staff and outlined in RFA 261-21.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 261-21 COVID-19 Immunization Action Plan Grant Supplemental 3 and 4. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Jason. Have a great day. Item number 3.
RFA 260-21, bid award for Tuck Pointing with Rosie Welter, Department of Senior Services Director. And I'm assuming Hannah Stambaugh, Deputy County Administrator, is in her place today.
Rosie is out today, so she asked me to present this. This is a request from Senior Services for the approval and acceptance of a bid for $49,918 for cleaning and tuck pointing of both the second and the third floors of the Department of Senior Services building. Only one bid was received, and the scope of the work that is projected in this is the establishment of construction zones, protections, building protection, and all adjacent site precautions, replacing fractured and or spalled masonry units, cut and tuck point existing mortar joints. The first floor was already done. That was done back in 2020 with grant funding. So your alternatives are to accept the bid for $49,918 for Mid-Continental Restoration Company or deny the request. Staff recommendation is to award the bid. Grant funding, it will be used to cover the cost of this. And when I looked at Rosie's last update that she had to the commission about 2 weeks ago, she has about $216,000 in grant funds that have been received to cover the cost of this particular project. Unfortunately, there was the only one bid that was received, but in Rosie's research, it looks like everybody that we sent them out to, I think 8 different companies, they were just too busy to come in and bid.
Any other questions or comments?
Hannah, I do have a couple questions. You mentioned the 216 that she has available in grant funding. I know that there's some other things on her plate right now. Windows repair, remodel of an outbuilding, and also a drive-through for Meals on Wheels. Are these projects going to exceed that 216,000?
There is that possibility. However, if you do remember, the commission did earmark some money in our capital improvement plan to assist with some of those projects as well. Rosie's intent is to fully expend her grant funds first. She also has about $30,000 in donation funds as well that she can help with using some of those projects. So we have the bids out for the Meals on Wheels drive-through right now. And I think those are due back by the end of the month. But until we get some of those stuff back, we're not really sure. We are anticipating for her to need some additional funds or to tap into her capital improvement dollars because we do feel that it'll probably exceed some of her grant funds, but she's still trying as much as she can.
Well, I guess I have kind of a philosophical issue with this. And I hope that the other commissioners will weigh in. The grant monies, are they specific to this project or were they general spread out over a list of projects?
A list of projects.
Okay.
All of her grant applications identified the same things, which was cleaning and tuck pointing, the mason or the outbuilding repairs, the Meals on Wheels drive-through in the windows.
I guess the big issue is donations and such that go into this. And I believe those should be earmarked more specific to programs that improve or things that happen there at the senior center versus upkeep of a building that the county has ownership of. And I would like to see the county maybe put a little more skin into the game and match half of this fund out of any source, whether it be the commissioner's contingency fund or capital improvements or whatever, to stretch her dollars out more. I think you mentioned that she was going to exhaust all her money and then hope that the rest of it could be done with capital improvements.
That was the intent. But if the commission's wish is to split that, like I said, there is funds that are earmarked in CIP for these improvements for her.
Well, I guess I'd like to hear from the other commissioners if maybe I'm splitting hairs here, maybe whether you pay now or pay later, but I think that we need to have more input financially into what happens to the upkeep of our buildings. I don't know. Does anyone else have a
Well, the
suggestion?
part of it that I would like that you kind of touched on, I mean, or several different departments, just like the health department is just here, they receive grants, and those grants are specific to a project. Of this $200,000 that we have in grant money, I would like to, when these types of things come before us, I would like to have a list of that grant money and how much it was specifically for a grant and what strings are tied to that grant. And that would be very helpful for me to try to make a decision on not only this, but just as Jim has alluded to, maybe the county does need to put some more into the building part of it and let the grant money go towards projects. Things that go on within the building. And and Meals on Wheels, et cetera, is kind of the way I see it. But I certainly would like to see the grants and specific to what project and how much money.
If it's helpful at all, so all of the grants that she did receive were foundation grants. And as I explained to Commissioner Weiss, in those grant applications, it outlined all of the different projects that she was wanting to accomplish. So the grant funding that she received wasn't specific dollar per dollar for each one of these projects. It was just an overall grant that she received from, I believe, Dane Hansen Foundation was.
But
one
I
of the
don't
big
have that
ones,
information.
right?
Is this a
Understood.
time-sensitive motion that we need here?
Yes, to get her on the books for getting this work done. They said they're about 3 to 4 months out. So it wouldn't be until springtime until they would be able to actually come out and do the cleaning and tuck pointing. But again, too, if the commission desires, we can.
When is the Meals on Wheels bid amount planning to come in?
That is the end of this month. I think the 28th.
The RFA itself does not talk about where the funding comes from. It just talks about approving it to happen. So I guess the RFA, if we were in agreement, could be passed. And then if we wanted to talk which pocket this money came from, we could do that at a later date.
I would suggest possibly a study session and hear from the director on her needs and wants and desires. And I think we all get a better understanding if that would take place.
This project here, though, it seems to me, if we're talking about the tuck pointing, that's means that rain and everything else is going to get in there. I think this is a project that needs to go forward. I totally agree with Commissioner Weiss on the funding issue of it, but we do need to approve the tuck pointing and get on the books with this company and get forward, because this is a maintenance issue that could cost us a lot more money if we delay it.
Any other comments?
I'm just going to tag on to what Commissioners Weiss and White were suggesting, that we could go ahead and approve this and then have Rosie do a study session and outline all of those projects and the sources of funding. I think that's something reasonable for the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks out. It would also be helpful as we roll into the next budget cycle.
But one of my comments is that when we approve the grant funding that we approved to accept those grants, each one of those grants did specifically say in there what it was going to be used for. It had to be used for that allocation. And this here was part of that deal on those grant fundings that we approved. So that was all in those grants. That was specifically mentioned on what those grant funds were for, if I recollect.
You're correct,
Yeah.
but I don't see them. I would like to see them. I want to see, I have $49,000. Is it coming out of $100,000 grant, or is it coming out of 2 or 3 different grants? That's what I want to see.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'd see.
Well, I think if you look at the scope of all the projects that the grants had listed, they're going to well exceed
Oh,
the
yeah.
216,000,
You-
well exceed. So the grant money is going to be spent on these specific items that they were requested for. I'm just saying, when or how should we weigh in as far as
And I
the
look at,
county taking care of our structures ourselves?
oh, but yes,
Perfect point. Good point.
yes. Yep.
I mean, because if this $49,000 as Commissioner Weiss is alluding to, if it's taking all of the money from one particular grant, when some of that money could be used for something else, and we as a county are not paying to maintain our own building, that's the point. Use the money strategically.
Like if we get the big picture.
Yes.
I don't really have a grasp on the big picture of all the projects that she's wanting to do. And maybe she has given that to us and I'd forgotten, but that would be helpful to me.
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, we can approve this RFA
Yes, yeah, you can.
and worry about funding down the road. Correct?
Yeah, like I said, I think we'll get Rosie here 2 or 3 weeks from today and go over that.
Any other comments? Anyone from the public who'd wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chair, I move we award bid to Mid-Continent Restoration in the amount of $49,918.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 260-21 bid award for tuck and pointing. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4.
RFA 262-21 FY 22 Justice Assistant Grant Assurances with Annie Grievous Community Corrections Director.
Good morning, Annie Grievous.
Good morning. I think she wanted to also an excellent election worker.
Very much so. We very much appreciate it.
I worked very hard that day. Boy.
Well, we hope you work hard every day.
I think that deserves a touche.
Excuse me.
Touche. Pussycat is what I heard. Okay. This is seeking initials. You have initials on every page. I wanted to make sure that's clear, and a signature to accept the grant assurances for the Justice Assistance Grant for FY 22 in the amount of $27,432. If the award is accepted and you approve to sign that, it covers a portion of the salary and benefits of one drug court intensive supervision officer. This drug court, as you know, has multiple funding sources. This is just another piece to it. Saline and Ottawa counties cover large portions of the program, but in addition to that, the city of Saline and the Kansas Department of Corrections do support some of that, and then also a line item of reimbursement comes out of there for that service. So it's kind of a unique program. And this is just a small piece. So I'm asking that you approve that awards or the assurances, sign an initial each page, and then sign at the back, and we'll send it in.
Any other comments or questions by the commission? Anyone from the public who'd wish to speak? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve by signature the acceptance of the JAG Award for FY 22 as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 262-21 FY 22 Justice Assistance Grant Assurance. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You
Appreciate
betcha.
it.
Thank you. Keep working hard. Item 5, I'm sorry.
RFA 263-21 Resolution 21-2344 Stepping Up Initiative with Hannah Stambaugh, Deputy County Administrator.
Good morning,
morning, Ken.
commissioners. So on October 12th, your commission heard a presentation on the Stepping Up Initiative, which is a national initiative to reduce the number of people with serious mental illness in jails. Saline County has worked really hard over the past couple of years with several of our different community partners to develop programs that are consistent with the goals of this initiative, with the implementation of drug court, pretrial, CIT, and Committee for Reducing Criminal Behavior, et cetera. Adoption of this resolution to participate in the Stepping Up Initiative will provide additional opportunities for technical assistance in data gathering, educational workshops, networking, and information sharing among states and agencies on best practices, and the potential for future grant funding, as well as just the overall continued work with our different community partners. Rachel Beaker with the Central Kansas Foundation is here today to read the resolution. Your alternatives today are to adopt the resolution or not to adopt the resolution. There is no budget impact that will occur with adopting this resolution. The opportunities that are gained with the adoption of this national initiative is provided at no cost. I will invite Rachel up here and she could read the resolution.
Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So the resolution to adopt the Stepping Up initiative to reduce the number of people with mental illness in jails. Whereas counties routinely provide treatment services to the estimated 2 million people with serious mental illnesses booked into jail each year. Whereas prevalence rates of serious mental illness in jails are 3 to 6 times higher than for the general public. Whereas almost 3/4 of adults with serious mental illnesses in jails have co-occurring substance use disorders. Whereas adults with mental illnesses tend to stay longer in jail and upon release are at higher risk of recidivism than people without these disorders. Whereas county jails spend 2 to 3 times more on adults with mental illnesses that require interventions compared to those without these treatment needs. Whereas without the appropriate treatment and services, people with mental illnesses continue to cycle through the criminal justice system, often resulting in tragic outcomes for these individuals and their families. Whereas Saline County and all counties take pride in their responsibility to protect and enhance the health, welfare, and safety of its residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. Whereas Saline County has developed a CIT council, which is working to develop programs and increase supports, which help people stay out of jail by connecting to proper resources at first contact. And whereas through Stepping Up, the National Association of Counties, the Council of State Governments Justice Center, and the American Psychiatric Association Foundation are encouraging public, private, and nonprofit partners to reduce the number of people with mental illnesses in jails. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Saline County, Kansas, do hereby sign on to the call to action to reduce the number of people with mental illnesses in our county jail. Commit to sharing lessons learned with other counties in my state and across the country to support a national initiative and encourage all county officials, employees, and residents to participate in Stepping Up. We resolve to utilize the comprehensive resources available through Stepping Up to convene or draw on a diverse team of leaders and decision makers from multiple agencies committed to safely reducing the number of people with mental illnesses in jails. Collect and review prevalence numbers and assess individuals' needs to better identify adults entering jails with mental illnesses and the recidivism risk, and use that baseline information to guide decision-making at the system, program, and case levels. Examine treatment and service capacity to determine which programs and services are available in the county for people with mental illnesses and co-occurring substance use disorders, and identify state and local policy and funding barriers to minimize contact with the justice system and providing treatment and supports in the community. Develop a plan with measurable outcomes that draws on the jail assessment and prevalence data and the examination of available treatment and service capacity while considering identified barriers. Implement research-based approaches that advance the plan, and create a process to track progress using data and information systems and to report on successes.
Thank you. I just have one comment or a quick question, and since our community corrections leader is here, does community corrections, our county sheriff, our city police departments all play into this role here of being partnerships with this Stepping Up?
We are, all of us.
Okay, would you please come up here and talk into the mic?
Yes, that would be a yes. All of those, including it expands into the city, law enforcement, and many providers. Our CIT group is very expansive. And so everyone in that group, including the homeless shelters and people that provide those assistance, are also a part of this and want to see this initiative passed in the resolution so that grants and other things can be awarded, hopefully. And it taps in really well with what we're working on with just law enforcement and co-responders to address those very mentally ill, high-risk clients on the street, and having a clinical person address them immediately while on the street, and hopefully transport to a location that is much safer for the community and the client, but also not bogging up the emergency room like we've been doing for the last 10 years and sitting with law enforcement for 5 or 6 hours and looking for that perfect fit for a crisis intervention center. And we're very close for that crisis intervention center. We're going to talk about it at our board meeting. So yes, that's a long way, but I'm very excited about everything to do that because our mentally ill population exceeds what I've ever seen. And yeah.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
knew we get a good explanation there. So
Yeah, and we would have, law enforcement had mandatory training today or else they would be here. And I do have representation from Central Kansas Mental Health supporting, but yeah, they just had some mandatory training for today.
okay, well, thank you. Any other comments from the commission? Anyone from the public who'd wish to speak? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt resolution 21-2344.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 263-21, resolution 21-2344, Stepping Up Initiative. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into informational items.
Human Resources update with Marilyn Leamer, Director.
Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Commissioners. This time frame for this update is mid-September to mid-November. During this time, our accomplishments of getting some positions filled, we had 5 new hires during that time frame. We also added to our payroll system another 26 individuals between rural firefighters and election workers. We have 6 individuals that transferred or promoted to different positions. We have 11 that are no longer employed during that time frame. Miscellaneous activities that happened over this time frame. We had a successful open enrollment insurance that we completed in September. We had a successful annual in-service training day that we did on October 11th. We also had reclassification of a few positions within the county. From time to time, we do either observe different duties that a position is doing, or something may come up in a performance evaluation. So positions do grow and become more complex. And so as a result of those, we did have some changes at Road and Bridge, IT, and then the Expo Center. A lot of that revolved around those more complex duties that they're doing. And some of that also involved some additional training that the departments are going to require for certain positions. It did result in a career ladder that we are going to create in 2 of those departments, in IT and also Road and Bridge. We already have a career ladder. It's successful in the Expo Center to where we can hire individuals in at a certain position, and then when they take the initiative to grow and become more valuable to the department, they are able to promote to a different position. Upcoming plans, of course, we're still trying to fill vacant positions. We have 15 positions that, as of writing this, trying to fill, did make 2 job offers for Expo Center yesterday. So we're hoping that we'll be successful and fill those positions and get this number down. We're doing pretty well on corrections officer applicants, sitting on 4 vacancies, plus we have permission from the commission some time back to hire some overhires if we have those. So right now we do have individuals in the process for those 4 vacancies and the 2 overhire positions. So we're going to be starting to work on the additional 15 positions that you've given the sheriff's office for the upcoming jail. So we'll be working on that as well. Getting ready to open up our United Way campaign for employees. We have some very generous business owners and individuals that donate prizes for that to encourage giving. And in the past years, we have been able to offer free 1-day off certificates In the most recent years, we've been able to do 5 of those. And so I would like to see if commissioners are supportive of us continuing to do that again, those 1 days off certificates.
Yes, yes.
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 I'm in favor. I'm just wondering, how do you select them?
We do a random drawing.
Draw random draw.
And they're very popular. That does get a lot of people to donate just to have that chance to be able to win that. In addition, we get a lot of other, like I said, generous business owners and individuals that donate things that we use in the drawing as well. We are currently processing the vaccine incentive that commissioners did approve for employees that have been vaccinated. We're estimating about 50% of employees have turned in their documents showing that they've been vaccinated, and they would be eligible to receive the $100 vaccine incentive that we will pay in mid-December. I'm going to be preparing, just giving you a little heads up, a request for action for our onboarding application. During the budget process, it was approved that we could do an onboarding software application. We currently use Civic Plus HR for our applicant tracking. And that request for action will be an amendment to add that mechanism onto it. So it will integrate with the applicant tracking and then eventually getting people on board. It'll allow us to provide some things in advance. So the candidate, once the job offer has been extended and we've sent them a confirmation, they can do some things at home. Be looking at insurance enrollments, learning about capers. There's just several opportunities for us to be able to get that to them ahead of time and make their first day a little more smooth. And additionally, Civic Plus is offering a 50% discount if the contract is signed before the end of the year. So even though you approved it for 2022, I'm going to bring the contract before you in December, and then it would be paid in 2022's budget. One thing that I did not put on here, upcoming plans that we have is we've been selected to do a CAPERS audit. CAPERS is the Kansas Public Employers Retirement System. From time to time, employers get selected for an audit, so we'll be working on that. It'll be just generating several reports for them, and it's for a 3-year time frame. So we'll be working on that in the coming weeks. Budget update, the health plan ended the year, our plan year ended at the end of September at 111% of expenses to funding due to some higher claims this year. Our dental plan also ended a little high at 106% of funding to expenses ratio. So I would expect that might result in a little bit of an increase next year. If our claims happen to level off through this plan year, we might be lucky and not have too much of an increase there. And that is all I have and available for questions.
Marilyn, I want some clarity on the $100 vaccine bonus that we're offering for, and I want assurance that that money is not coming from the county budget. That money is coming from the federal.
Yeah, that question's probably for me rather than for Marilyn, but yes, that is part of what you approved in your ARPA framework plan. And then we brought that back again to you, and that is all the federal money, the American Rescue Plan funding that's being used for that.
Very good, thank you.
Marilyn, could you possibly give us a brief overview in regards to countywide in-service day? Is that a fair question, or?
Sure. I felt it was successful. Last year, we were forced to do it virtually. We did a half-day virtual training where it was recorded and employees could view it either individually at their desks or as a group. And then the last half of the day, departments were able to go ahead and do some individual trainings, some breakouts of their own. This year, we went back to on-site again for the full day. It does run 8 to 4. We offered a couple keynote presentations and then a number of breakout sessions for employees to attend. So I do provide an evaluation form at the end of the day, and I was pleased with the comments that we got. During that time, I also asked if there's anything that they would like to see returned, that maybe it was a session they didn't get to see. And then I also asked for new topics. And so we use that information to build our next year's agenda.
Appreciate it. I also heard that the service was excellent and the food was good.
Yes.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Good update. Next, we'll move in to informational items. And we had item 1, item 2.
County Administrator's update with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Quite a number of items to update the commission on today. Start with housing. As you know, this is a topic that we've been talking about quite a bit over the last year. The city of Salina has been working hard with cooperation from your commission to attract additional housing development into the city in preparation for all the new jobs that are coming with our economic development successes. So the Ryan Edition, also known as Southview Estates, the 108 owner-occupied units there, as you know, that all got approved, and we signed an agreement to participate financially in that through our American Rescue Plan Act funding. Cedarhurst is a development of 74 units, senior units, and the city commission approved that on October 25th. Magnolia Point, which we've also discussed, is 168 rental units. That was approved by the city, but ran into a issue with the development rights on that particular parcel. So they're trying to work through that. The Drever Group that presented to your commission in early October, they have been back to the community once or maybe twice now since that meeting. They are still working with interested local businesses and property owners, and we're just waiting for a proposal from them. The Community Housing Development Organization is doing a study on low range housing, and they are working through that. And the city also identified 7 other sites and 1 other developer that they are working with. So just an update that there's a lot of activity around housing in the community. I will also note that yesterday, Hannah Stambaugh, our deputy county administrator, journeyed to Kansas City, Kansas to speak to the state Spark committee about community needs here in Saline County in the city of Salina. And that wasn't specific to housing, but certainly housing was a part of that conversation. The next item that we've also been talking about for a while is our natural gas purchasing contract. And I'm happy to say that I think we've finally gotten everything resolved, and I hope to have an item on your agenda for next Tuesday to actually sign a contract on that one. It's taken way longer than I anticipated. Visioning session, we've been talking about this for a little bit, but we've nailed down the location. So that's going to be at Pioneer Hall at Kansas Wesleyan on December 13th, 10 a.m. The American Rescue Plan update. So just wanted to let the commission know that we are working through all of the different things that were approved in the framework for the phase 1 initiatives. So Part of what was approved in phase one was water and wastewater grants. The question period for those grants has ended. The responses have been posted to our website. Applications are due November 29th. I've got a review team that's assembled and a meeting scheduled. So that is on track. Another thing that was included in the phase one was the public safety grants. We are working on a needs analysis on that in conjunction with our consultants from iParametrics. On workforce development, I have solicited proposals from the post-secondary schools, and I've received 2 of those and waiting on 1 more. On business recovery, we are working with a firm in conjunction with the chamber. We're working with a firm to develop an incentive program for local businesses. That agreement is in legal review right now. The chamber has also submitted a proposal on a relocation incentive to try and attract more workforce to the community. So that's being vetted through our consultants. On housing, as we already mentioned, the agreement with the city has been signed. And on public health, as Marilyn mentioned, part of what we devoted public health funding for was vaccine incentives. In addition to what she updated you on, excited that the incentive did actually get a few new folks to get vaccinated, which was, of course, the purpose of it. So that's great. We have also processed the reimbursement for leave. So if you'll recall, your commission generously awarded employees leave through September 30th beyond what was required when they had a COVID-related reason to be absent. And we were allowed to go back and pick that up out of ARPA funding from March 3rd through September 30th. So we've done that. Amounted to about $25,000 that we were able to reimburse the county general fund and a couple other funds. A couple of other items, Expo sewer line. So as the commission is aware, we are doing quite a bit of work at the Expo Center, and that includes some demolition of concrete and asphalt that's on the north side of Ag Hall. As part of that process, we went ahead and videoed the sewer line that is out there that has had some challenges for a number of years, put it that way, and found out that that actually needs to be replaced. Not a big shock, but it was not something we included in the scope of work. So just to let the commission know, you previously approved the demo of that concrete and asphalt out there. We will be doing a change order to that demo contract in the amount of $4,400 for additional demo out there. And then we'll also be doing the replacement of the actual sewer pipe. That one is under my signature authority. So don't need to bring an RFA, but I wanted you all to be aware that that work was going on. And then last but not least, the jail. So Commissioner Vidrickson called me yesterday and said that he had seen a delivery out there on the site yesterday, and I drove by this morning, and yep, there's some stockpiling starting to occur out there, and anticipate this week being the official beginning of construction. Also received last night a proposal for some special inspections work that we have to do out there, so I'll be reviewing that today. So that is my update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of those topics or anything else you've got for me.
Just a quick question here over at the Expo Center and the sewer lines and everything. Is that property, I mean, just quick question here, is that owned by the city then? And why isn't the city required to fix the infrastructure underneath, and because we're going to have problem with water lines and sewer lines everywhere over there. Just a quick question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner. So these are not the main lines. These are the laterals that serve the actual buildings. And so that's why we're including them as part of our project. If it was the main lines we're talking about, we'd certainly be expecting the city to be working on those. So,
Okay. Gotcha. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. Item 3.
Commissioners' comments?
I don't have any. Anybody else? Nope. Item 4.
Announcements?
Nope. Okay, looks like we have an executive session.
Yes, I'm told that we do. Staff would request that the commission recess to executive session under the non-elected personnel exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss performance evaluation of the county administrator for 20 minutes and reconvene in this room at looks like 10:11.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we move into executive session under the non-elected personnel under Kansas Open Meeting Act and come back in here for in 20 minutes. So that would be 10, say 22, 13. Let's put it that way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we are out of an executive session and no action taken. And so any other questions or comments? If none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.